You know what really gets under my exoskeleton? Humans. Humans. Not because they are particularly dangerous, mind you. Not because they have advanced technology or superior firepower, or even because they smell like fermented grain most of the time. No, no, it is because they are completely, utterly, insanely unpredictable. My name is Vorath. I am a Keltharian, which means I stand roughly 8 feet tall, have 4 arms that can crush steel beams, and my species has been conquering star systems since before your great ancestors figured out that pointy sticks make better weapons than regular sticks. We are warriors, champions, the finest fighters in the Galactic Council, or so I thought. Let me tell you about the day everything I knew about combat got thrown out the airlock and into the cold vacuum of space. It started 3 solar cycles ago when the Council decided, in their infinite wisdom, to create a joint training facility. The idea was simple enough. Take the best warriors from every species, throw them together in one massive station orbiting a dead moon, and let them train together. Share techniques. Build unity. All that diplomatic nonsense that makes politicians feel good about themselves while the rest of us do the actual work. I arrived at Training Station Epsilon with my squad. 6 of us, all Keltharians, all veterans of at least a dozen campaigns. We walked through those docking bay doors like we owned the place, because honestly, we pretty much did. Our reputation preceded us. The station was huge, absolutely massive. Corridors stretched for miles, training rooms the size of small cities, sparring arenas that could fit entire battleships. And it was packed. Thousands of aliens from hundreds of species, all here to prove they were the best. Archons with their rock-hard skin, Pralaxians with their lightning-fast reflexes, Morphids who could change their body density at will. Every species you could imagine, all walking around sizing each other up, comparing muscle mass and weapon proficiency. And then there were the humans. Oh, the humans. They arrived 2 days after us, and I remember standing in the observation deck, watching their transport ship dock. My second in command, Kragoth, stood beside me. He has 6 eyes, so he notices things most people miss. "Those are the humans?" he asked, his voice dripping with disbelief. "Apparently," I replied. We watched as they filed out of their ship. 20 of them, maybe 25. They looked soft, small, fragile. Like someone had taken real warriors and shrunk them down to 3/4 size, then removed all the interesting parts like claws, fangs, armor plating, and anything else useful in a fight. Most of them were fit enough, I suppose, muscular by their standards. They moved with confidence, chatting among themselves, laughing at jokes we could not hear. But compared to the other species in the station, they looked like younglings, children playing at being soldiers. "This is what the Council considers worthy of elite training," Kragoth muttered. "I have seen more intimidating prey animals." I had to agree. It seemed like a waste of resources. But then I saw him. At the back of the human group, trailing behind the others, was the smallest one of the bunch. And when I say small, I mean laughably, pathetically, almost offensively small. Where the other humans at least had some visible muscle definition, this one looked like a stiff breeze might snap him in half. Thin arms, narrow shoulders. He could not have weighed more than 150 pounds, which for a human is apparently quite light. He had messy brown hair that stuck up at odd angles, pale skin that suggested he did not spend much time under any sun, and these big, round glasses perched on his nose that made him look even more ridiculous. His name tag read Marcus Finn in that blocky human script. "That one will not last a week," Kragoth said flatly. "That one will not last a day," I corrected. We were both wrong, but not in the way you might think. The first week of training was entertaining. The Council had organized us into mixed species groups for the initial exercises, basic combat drills, endurance runs, strength assessments. Nothing too complicated, just enough to establish baseline capabilities and see who could work together. The humans did adequately. Not great, not terrible. They were stronger than they looked, I had to admit. Their endurance was surprisingly good. They could run for hours without stopping, which impressed some of the bulkier species who gassed out after the first mile. But Marcus Finn? He struggled. Badly. During the strength assessment, where we had to lift progressively heavier weights, he could barely manage half of what the other humans could do. The Keltharians were lifting 2,000 pounds like it was nothing. The Tharkons were hitting 3,000. Even the smallest Prelaxian could manage 800 pounds. Marcus maxed out at 175. 175 pounds. I have seen human children lift more than that. The endurance run was worse. While the other humans completed the 10-mile course in respectable times, Marcus came in dead last, wheezing and gasping, and looking like he might actually expire right there on the track. His face was the color of a ripe tomato. His sweat poured off him in rivers. He collapsed at the finish line and did not move for a solid 10 minutes. The other species started noticing, started talking, started laughing. "Is that one sick?" asked a morphid named Glenth during lunch on the third day. "Maybe humans have different castes," suggested a Tharkon called Bruthmak. "Warriors and workers. That one must be a worker." "No, no," said Kragoth, warming to the topic. "I think that is their comedian. They brought him for entertainment purposes." The entire table erupted in laughter. Even some of the other humans cracked smiles, though they tried to hide it. Marcus sat alone at a corner table, eating something gray and lumpy from a ration pack, seemingly oblivious to the mockery. Or maybe he just did not care. Hard to tell with humans sometimes. The training intensified during week 2. We moved from basic assessments to actual combat drills, hand-to-hand fighting, weapons training, tactical simulations. This was where species really started to show what they could do. The sparring matches were set up in a massive arena with force fields separating different fighting zones. Multiple matches could happen simultaneously while instructors monitored everything from a control booth overhead. The rules were simple: fight until submission, knockout, or instructor intervention. No killing, no permanent maiming. Everything else was fair game. I won my first 7 matches without breaking a sweat. Literally. Keltharians do not sweat. But you understand the sentiment. The humans won some, lost some. They fought with this weird combination of aggression and creativity that made them unpredictable. Just when you thought you had them figured out, they would do something completely insane like throw dirt in your eyes or bite your ankle or use their flexibility to escape holds that should have been inescapable. But Marcus? He lost every single match, and not close losses either. Absolute, complete, humiliating defeats. A Prelaxian knocked him out in 4 seconds. 4 seconds. A Morphid submitted him in less than 10. Even one of the smaller species, a Quelix who stood barely 4 feet tall, managed to pin him within 30 seconds. It got so bad that the instructors started using him as a practice dummy who wants to demonstrate the proper chokehold technique. They would ask, and Marcus would shuffle forward with this resigned expression, like he had accepted his fate as the station punching bag. The mockery intensified. "Hey, Marcus." Glenth would shout across the cafeteria. "I need someone to open this ration pack. It is too tough for me. Maybe you could try?" "Oh wait, you probably cannot manage that either." Brutal laughter would follow, or Bruthmak would corner him in the hallway. "Marcus Finn, yes? I wanted to thank you personally. Watching you fight has taught me so much about what not to do in combat. Very educational." More laughter. Always more laughter. To his credit, Marcus never responded. Never got angry. Never complained. He just took it all with this quiet acceptance that somehow made it worse. Like he agreed with them. Like he knew he did not belong here. I felt something. Not pity, exactly. Keltharians do not do pity, but perhaps a small amount of sympathy. Nobody deserves to be humiliated like that, even if they genuinely are terrible at fighting. 3 weeks into the training program, the head instructor made an announcement. Commander Withrose, a grizzled Vorton with scars covering half his face and a voice like grinding metal plates, called everyone to the main arena. "All right, you ugly sacks of biomass," he bellowed. "Listen up. Next week we are holding the station championship tournament. A single elimination. Winners advance. Losers go home crying to whatever spawned them. This is your chance to prove you actually belong here and are not just wasting valuable oxygen." Excited murmurs rippled through the crowd. "You will be matched randomly." Ythros continued. "Species, weight class, experience level, none of that matters. In real combat, you do not get to choose your opponent. You fight who you fight, adapt or die." I grinned. Finally, a real challenge. A chance to test myself against the best warriors from across the galaxy. "The tournament begins in exactly 7 days," Ythros shouted. "Use that time to prepare. Train harder, get stronger. Or don't, and embarrass yourselves in front of everyone. Your choice." The arena erupted in cheers and battle cries. Everyone started training with renewed intensity. The sparring zones were booked solid. The weapons ranges ran day and night. Even meal times became competitive as warriors tried to optimize their nutrition and recovery. I trained hard, 6 hours a day minimum. Kregoth and I would drill techniques until our muscles screamed for rest, then we would drill some more. This tournament was going to put Keltharians on top permanently. And Marcus Finn? He vanished. Not literally. He was still around. I would see him occasionally in the corridors or the cafeteria. But he stopped attending the regular training sessions, stopped showing up to the group drills. Nobody really noticed or cared. Good riddance, most people figured. One less weakling cluttering up the sparring zones. I thought maybe he had given up. Decided to quit before the tournament humiliated him further. Smart move, honestly. I was wrong. Tournament day arrived like a solar flare, bright and impossible to ignore. The main arena had been transformed. Massive screens showed bracket matchups. Thousands of seats surrounded a central fighting platform equipped with every sensor and safety system known to galactic science. This was going to be broadcast across the entire council. Millions would watch. Commander Withrose stood at the center of the platform. Warriors, today you fight for glory, for honor, for the right to call yourselves the best. The crowd roared. First match. Kregoth of Keltharia versus Silnix of Prilax. My second-in-command stepped onto the platform, all 4 arms flexing, ready to dominate. Silnix was fast, incredibly fast, but Kregoth was faster. The match lasted maybe 2 minutes before Silnix tapped out, trapped in a submission hold that would have dislocated 3 of his joints if he had resisted. The Keltharian section of the crowd went wild. Matches continued throughout the day. Some were quick and brutal. Others lasted longer, showcasing real skill and strategy. The brackets narrowed. Winners advanced. Losers slunk away. I won my first match against a Morphid. Second match against a Tharkon who hit like a plasma cannon but telegraphed every move. Third match against another human, a woman named Victoria Reeves, who almost caught me with a leg lock, but I powered out at the last second. By the evening we were down to the final 16 competitors, the elite of the elite. And somehow, impossibly, Marcus Finn was still in it. I had not been paying attention to his bracket. Why would I? But looking at the results screen, there was his name. He had won 3 matches. "That cannot be right," Kregoth said, staring at the display. "There must be a mistake." But there was no mistake. Marcus Finn had won 3 consecutive matches, not through skill or strength or anything remotely impressive. He had won on technicalities. His first opponent, a Quilix named Tremnak, had slipped on the platform and knocked himself unconscious before the match even started. Technical victory to Marcus. His second opponent, A Vorton called Grexus had eaten something that disagreed with him and forfeited due to severe intestinal distress. Technical victory to Marcus. His third opponent, a Prelaxian named Vostix, had injured her leg in a previous match and could not continue. Technical victory to Marcus, the luckiest warrior in galactic history. They should disqualify him, Bruthmac grumbled. He has not actually won a single fight. Rules are rules, Commander Ythros said flatly when someone raised the complaint. He advanced. He fights. The bracket for the next round posted. I stared at it, blinked, stared again. My next opponent was Marcus Finn. The universe was playing some kind of cosmic joke. The arena erupted in laughter when the matchup was announced. Absolute, hysterical, falling over laughter. People from a dozen different species were slapping their appendages together in mirth. The betting boards showed odds of 1,000 to 1 against Marcus. Some bookmakers were offering 10,000 to 1. Kragoth clapped me on the shoulder with two of his arms. Try not to break him too quickly. Give the crowd a show. I will make it last at least 30 seconds, I promised. More laughter. The next morning I arrived at the arena early to warm up. I was stretching near the platform when I saw him. Marcus Finn stood at the opposite end of the arena, alone. He wore standard training clothes, nothing special. His glasses were gone, replaced by contact lenses apparently. His messy hair was tied back. He was doing these slow, methodical stretches that looked almost like a dance. I watched him for a moment, still small, still thin, still completely unremarkable. Hey Marcus, I called out. No hard feelings about what is about to happen, okay? It is just business. He looked up at me. For the first time since arriving at the station, I saw him smile. Not a nervous smile, not a defeated smile. A confident smile. No hard feelings, Vorath, he called back. You might want to stretch a bit more, though. I would hate for you to pull something. The few people in the arena burst out laughing. Even I chuckled. The little human had developed a sense of humor. Good for him. Commander Ythros called us to the platform. The arena filled rapidly. Apparently, this was the match everyone wanted to see. The mighty Keltharian warrior versus the weakest human in the program. A comedy routine disguised as a fight. I stepped onto the platform. The crowd cheered. Marcus stepped up opposite me. The crowd laughed. Ythros explained the rules. We both nodded. Fighters ready? He asked. I raised all forearms into my combat stance. Marcus settled into a loose, relaxed posture. Hands low, weight balanced, head tilted slightly. Begin. I launched forward. 400 pounds of Keltharian muscle and bone, moving faster than most species could blink. I would grab him, lift him, slam him down, and this would all be over before. He was not there. I blinked, looked around. Marcus had moved, not jumped back, not dodged sideways. He had slipped inside my reach, past my arms, too close for me to grab effectively. I spun, swinging with my lower right arm. He ducked under it, smoothly, effortlessly, like he knew exactly where the punch would be. I threw a combination, left, right, all four arms moving in a pattern that had dropped opponents twice my size. He weaved between them, not fast, not slow, just precise. Minimal movement. Maximum efficiency. The crowd had gone quiet. I stepped back, reassessing. This was not the same Marcus who had lost every previous match. This was someone else entirely. What is happening? I asked. That confident smile appeared again. I am fighting, Vorath. Actually fighting. Now for the first time since I got here. And then he moved. Human beings, I learned that day, are capable of some truly terrifying things when they stop holding back. Marcus came forward like a flowing river, smooth and unstoppable. He was inside my guard again, and this time I felt something hit my lower rib. Not hard, just a tap, then another. Then two more in rapid succession. Pressure points. My left leg buckled. I swung wildly, trying to create space. He rode the motion, using my own momentum against me, and suddenly I was off balance. A sweep caught my remaining good leg and I went down, hard. The platform shook. The crowd gasped. I rolled, came up swinging. He was already there waiting. 3 quick strikes, each one hitting specific points on my arms. My fingers went numb. I could not make a proper fist. How? I managed to say. I have been training my entire life, Marcus said quietly, circling me. Martial arts. Pressure points. Fighting against people bigger and stronger than me. I just needed to see how everyone else here fought first. Learn the patterns. Understand the styles. He had been studying us. All those losses, all that humiliation, he had been gathering information. Those first 3 weeks, I said, understanding dawning. You were not trying to win. Could not win, he corrected. Not yet. I had to learn first. Had to adapt. You all are bigger, stronger, faster than me. Fighting you the normal way would be suicide. So I learned to fight differently. I charged again, desperation overriding tactics. He sidestepped, and I felt a sharp pain in my knee. Another pressure point. I crashed to the platform face first. Submission or knockout Vorath, Marcus said calmly. Your choice. I tried to stand. My body would not cooperate. Somehow, this tiny human had systematically shut down my nervous system with surgical precision. I submit, I gasped. The arena exploded. Not with laughter this time, with shock, with disbelief, with something that sounded almost like respect. The Commander Ethros declared Marcus the winner. The betting boards went haywire. Somewhere, a bookmaker was having a very bad day. Marcus helped me up. Surprisingly strong grip for such a small person. Good match, he said. How did you hide this? I asked, still trying to process what had just happened. I did not hide anything, Marcus replied. I just let everyone see what they expected to see. A weak human. Easy target. Not worth worrying about. He paused. Tactical advantage. I started laughing. Could not help it. We had been played. All of us. By the smallest, weakest-looking member of the entire station. You are terrifying, I told him honestly. Thanks, he said, adjusting his contact lenses. That is the nicest thing anyone has said to me in weeks. The tournament continued. Marcus advanced through the brackets like a scalpel through flesh, imprecise, efficient, unstoppable. He beat a Tharkon in the quarterfinals using leverage and joint locks that should not have worked on someone with rock-hard skin, but somehow did. He beat a Morphid in the semifinals by adapting to every density change instantly, like he could predict the shifts before they happened. And in the finals? He faced Kragoth, my second in command. 6 eyes, 4 arms, veteran of more battles than most species have birthdays. The match lasted 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Marcus won. As I watched this small, thin, weak-looking human accept the championship trophy while the entire arena stood and cheered, I realized something important. Humans are not dangerous because they are strong. They are dangerous because they learn. They adapt. They find ways to win that nobody else would even consider. And they let you underestimate them right up until the moment it is too late. Commander Ethros handed Marcus the trophy, then spoke into the microphone. Never, in all my years of training warriors, have I seen such a complete tactical deception executed so flawlessly. Marcus Finn, you have earned everyone's respect today. Well done. The cheering intensified. Marcus just smiled that quiet, confident smile and waved to the crowd. Later that night, I found him in the cafeteria, eating alone again. I sat down across from him, and Kragoth joined us moments later. That was humiliating, Kragoth said bluntly. Sorry, Marcus replied, not sounding sorry at all. Do not apologize, I said. You won fair. We underestimated you. That is on us. Everyone underestimates me, Marcus said, taking a bite of something that looked vaguely edible. Been that way my whole life. Small, weak, unimpressive. So I learned to use it. Devious, Kragoth muttered. But there was admiration in his voice. Practical, Marcus corrected. We sat in silence for a moment. So, I finally said, what happens now? You are the station champion. Everyone knows what you can do. The surprise is gone. Marcus thought about that, then shrugged. Guess I will have to get better. Learn new techniques. Adapt again. That is what humans do, right? We keep evolving. Kragoth and I exchanged glances. Your species is insane, Kragoth said. Probably, Marcus agreed cheerfully. And that is how I learned to never, ever underestimate a human based on appearance. Because the weakest-looking one might just be the most dangerous fighter in the entire galaxy. You would think winning the station championship would change things for Marcus Finn. Make people respect him. Treat him differently. Stop with the constant mockery and ridicule. You would be wrong. See, here is the thing about warriors from dozens of different species all crammed together in one training facility. They have egos. Massive, inflated, completely unreasonable egos. And when someone like Marcus, someone who looked like a stiff breeze could knock him over, beats the supposed best fighters in the galaxy, those egos do not just accept it and move on. No, 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 they get defensive, angry, suspicious. The morning after the tournament, I was in the cafeteria getting breakfast when I overheard Bruthmak talking to a group of Tharkons. It was luck, he was saying, his rocky face twisted in disgust. Pure luck. Marcus got easy opponents, used cheap tricks, exploited technicalities. Any real fighter would destroy him. He beat Vorath, someone pointed out. And Kragoth, both Keltharians. Pressure points. Bruthmak spat. Cowardly tactics. In a real fight, without rules, without safety protocols, that tiny human would last maybe 30 seconds before getting ripped apart. Several heads nodded in agreement around the table. I considered intervening, telling them they were idiots, explaining exactly how thoroughly Marcus had dismantled not just me, but every assumption we had made about human combat capabilities. But I decided against it. Let them learn the hard way, just like I did. Besides, something more interesting was happening. Commander Withrows had called an emergency meeting for all senior trainees. That meant anyone who had made it past the quarterfinals in the tournament. About 30 of us gathered in Conference Room 7, which was really just a large space with chairs designed for various alien physiologies and a holo display at the front. Withrows stood there, arms crossed, looking even more intimidating than usual. Next to him stood 3 figures I did not recognize. 2 were clearly military, based on their uniforms and bearing. The third was a human woman, older, with silver hair and sharp eyes that seemed to analyze everything they saw. Listen up, Withrows barked. We have visitors. This is Admiral Corvin of the Galactic Defense Fleet, General Thraxus of Special Operations Command, and Dr. Patricia Hayward, the human behavioral psychologist and combat strategist. But the human woman, Patricia, nodded politely at the assembled group. They are here because of an incident, Withrows continued. 3 days ago, a training station similar to this one, located in the Outer Rim sector, was attacked. Pirates, raiders, scum looking for easy targets. They hit during a shift change when defenses were minimal. Murmurs rippled through the room. 47 trainees were on that station, Admiral Corvin said, his voice grave. He was a Vorton, like Withrows, but older, with more scars. Only 12 survived. The attackers were heavily armed, coordinated, and ruthless. They killed anyone who resisted and took the rest as hostages for ransom. My stomach churned. Training stations were supposed to be safe, neutral territory. Attacking one was a violation of about 15 different galactic laws. We are increasing security here, General Thraxus added. She was a Prelaxian, tall and lean with silver skin. But we need to be realistic. If a large enough force hits this station, security alone will not be enough. You, the trainees, may need to defend yourselves. That is where I come in, Patricia said, stepping forward. Her voice was calm, measured, but carried authority. I have been studying combat effectiveness across species for 20 years, and I have a proposal. We form specialized response teams, mixed species groups trained specifically for station defense scenarios, groups that can work together, leverage each species' unique advantages, and respond to threats efficiently. Why are you telling us this? Asked Blenth, the Morphid who had mocked Marcus so enthusiastically. Should not security handle station defense? Security will handle it, Ythros growled. But you are warriors, allegedly. Time to prove that means something beyond winning trophies and bragging rights. We want volunteers, Patricia said. People willing to train harder, learn faster, and work as actual teams instead of just competing against each other. This is not mandatory. But it is important. I raised one of my hands. I volunteer. Kragoth immediately raised two of his. As do I. Around the room, others began volunteering. Ruthmak, Glenth, several of the humans who had competed in the tournament, even some of the lower-ranked fighters who had been eliminated early. And Marcus Finn, sitting quietly in the back corner, raised his hand as well. Patricia noticed, smiled slightly. Good. Report to Training Bay 12 tomorrow at 0600 hours. Bring your combat gear and an open mind. You are going to need both. The meeting adjourned. People filed out, talking excitedly about the new training program. I caught up with Marcus in the hallway. You do not have to do this, I told him. You already proved yourself. Nobody would blame you for sitting this one out. Marcus looked at me with those big, round eyes behind his glasses. He had switched back from contact lenses, apparently. Wrath, if this station gets attacked, do you really think the pirates will care that I won a tournament? They will kill everyone, including me. I would rather learn how to stop that. Fair point. Besides, he added with that quiet smile, I am curious what this Patricia person knows about human combat psychology. Might learn something useful. The next morning, 32 of us gathered in Training Bay 12. It was one of the larger facilities, with multiple zones for different training types, hand-to-hand combat areas, weapons ranges, tactical simulation rooms, everything you needed to turn soldiers into something better. Patricia stood at the center, wearing practical combat gear instead of her formal outfit from yesterday. She looked smaller somehow, less imposing, but her eyes still had that analytical sharpness. Thank you all for volunteering, she began. Before we start, I want to make something clear. Everything you think you know about combat? Throw it out. Right now. Gone. Confused looks all around. You have been trained to fight one-on-one, Patricia continued. Rules. Competitions. Honor matches. That is fine for tournaments, useless for actual combat situations. Real fights are messy, chaotic, unfair. The enemy will not bow politely and wait for you to assume your combat stance. They will shoot you in the back while you are eating lunch. So what do you propose? Asked Victoria Reeves, the human woman I had fought in the tournament. I propose we learn from the species that has been fighting unfair fights and winning against impossible odds for their entire evolutionary history, Patricia said, gesturing to the humans in the group. You want to know why humans are dangerous? Not because we are strong. We are not. Not because we are fast. We are not. Not because we have natural weapons or armor or any physical advantages whatsoever. She paused for effect. We are dangerous because we cheat. We lie. We ambush. We use every dirty trick, every tactical advantage, every psychological warfare technique we can think of. And we do it without shame, because survival matters more than honor. You could have heard a pin drop in that room. Over the next 4 weeks, Patricia continued, I am going to teach you how humans fight when the stakes are real. Ambush tactics, psychological warfare, using environment as a weapon. exploiting enemy weaknesses, making them afraid, making them hesitate, making them dead. Bruthmac raised a massive hand. This sounds dishonorable. It is, Patricia agreed cheerfully. Completely, totally, absolutely dishonorable. And it works. Ask Vorath. Ask Kragoth. Ask anyone who faced Marcus in the tournament. Did he fight honorably? No, I admitted. He fought smart. Exactly. Patricia clapped her hands together. Smart beats strong almost every time. Now, let us get started. First exercise. Ambush scenarios. I am going to split you into teams. One team defends a position. The other team attacks. The defenders get standard security equipment. Attackers get to plan their approach however they want. No rules except no permanent injuries. We split into teams. I ended up on the attacking team along with Marcus, two other humans named Jake Torres and Mira Okafor, a Tharkon called Stonefist, and a Prelaxian named Whisper. The defending team, led by Bruthmac, set up in Tactical Simulation Room 3. It was designed to look like a cargo bay, with stacked containers, narrow corridors, and multiple levels. Good defensive position if you knew what you were doing. Patricia gave us 20 minutes to plan. Okay, Jake said, pulling us into a huddle. Standard assault approach would be front entrance, overwhelming force, push them back through superior firepower. Which is exactly what they will expect, Marcus said. So we do not do that. What do you suggest? Stonefist asked. He was nearly 7 feet tall and looked like someone had carved him from a mountain. Not the brightest, but loyal and strong. Marcus thought for a moment, then smiled. We make them paranoid, use their expectations against them. Split into 3 groups. Group 1 makes noise at the front entrance, draws their attention. Group 2 sneaks in through the ventilation system. Group 3 waits outside the back exit. The ventilation systems are too small for most of us, Whisper pointed out. She was right. Prelaxians were tall and slender, but still too large for standard vents. Not too small for me, Marcus said. Or Mira. Mira, the other small human, nodded. I can fit. So you two go through the vents, I said, following the logic. While the rest of us create a distraction at the front. Then what? Then we do not attack at all, Marcus said. We make them think we are attacking. Lots of noise. Lots of movement. Keep them focused on the front entrance. Meanwhile, Mira and I get behind their lines, disable their communications, and cause chaos. A paranoia sets in. They start making mistakes. That is when Group 3 hits them from behind. It was brilliant. Devious. Completely dishonorable. Perfect. We executed the plan flawlessly. Jake, Stonefist, Whisper and I made a huge commotion at the front entrance, banging on doors, shouting challenges, firing practice weapons at random intervals. Inside the cargo bay, we could hear Bruthmac's team scrambling into defensive positions, calling out targets, coordinating their response. Meanwhile, Marcus and Mira slithered through the ventilation system like ghosts. 3 minutes into our fake assault, the lights in the cargo bay went out. What happened? Bruthmac's voice echoed through the darkness. Communications are down. Someone else shouted, "Stay in position." Bruthmac ordered, "Do not break formation." That is when Marcus started making noises. Little sounds, scraping metal, footsteps that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Mira did the same from a different location. Where are they? Glenth's voice, high-pitched with stress. I do not know. I cannot see anything. Hold position. Hold. Bruthmac's order cut off as emergency lighting kicked in. Dim, red, barely enough to see. And in that eerie glow, the defending team saw Marcus standing in the middle of their formation, practice weapon aimed at Bruthmac's head. Bang, Marcus said softly. You are dead. Before anyone could react, Mira appeared behind Glenth. So are you. And that is when Whisper, Stonefist, Jake and I hit them from the back exit. Total chaos. The defending team, already rattled and disorganized, collapsed in seconds. Patricia watched from the observation booth, grinning like a proud parent. "Time," she called. "Attackers win." "Bruthmak, your team is dead. Explain what went wrong." Bruthmak looked furious. "They cheated, disabled the power, used the environment against us." "Yes," Patricia said calmly. "They did, and you lost. Anyone else want to complain about cheating?" Silence. "And good, because in a real attack the enemy will do far worse. They will use chemical weapons, biological agents, psychological torture, anything that gives them an advantage. Your job is not to fight fair. Your job is to survive and win. Remember that." Over the next 4 weeks we ran dozens of scenarios, each one designed to break down our preconceptions about combat. We learned how to set traps, how to use misinformation, how to turn an enemy's strength into a weakness. The humans excelled at this type of training. They thought laterally, creatively, finding solutions that none of the other species would consider. Marcus became our unofficial tactical advisor, coming up with increasingly insane plans that somehow always worked. My favorite was the hostage rescue scenario. Standard setup. Defending team had captured 3 hostages and were holding them in a fortified position. Attacking team had to extract the hostages without getting them killed. Traditional approach? Negotiate. Stall for time. Launch a coordinated assault when an opening appeared. Marcus's approach? Set off the fire alarm. That is it. That was the entire plan. Set off the fire alarm and walk in during the evacuation. That will not work, I had argued. They will know it is a trick. Will they? Marcus asked. Fire alarms go off all the time in stations like this. Faulty sensors. Kitchen accidents. Someone smoking in the bathroom. Standard procedure is to evacuate, right? Even if you think it might be a trick, can you really risk ignoring it if there is an actual fire? He was right. We set off the alarm. The defending team evacuated their position along with everyone else on that deck. We grabbed the hostages during the confusion and were gone before they realized what happened. Patricia loved it. Unconventional thinking. This is exactly what I am talking about. But the training was not just about tactics. Patricia also taught us about human endurance, human determination, the absolute refusal to quit even when everything seems hopeless. Humans do not have the strongest muscles, she explained during a lecture. We do not have the fastest reflexes. We do not have natural armor or weapons. But we have something better. We have stubbornness. The ability to keep going long after our bodies tell us to stop. She showed us videos, humans running ultramarathons, hundreds of miles through deserts and mountains, humans climbing impossible peaks, swimming across oceans, surviving in environments that should kill them. Your species, she said, gesturing to the non-humans in the room, are built for sprint performance, explosive strength, short bursts of incredible power. Humans are built for marathons. We chase our prey until it collapses from exhaustion. We outlast everything. How does that help in combat? Glenth asked. Because, Patricia said, in a prolonged engagement, when you are tired and hurting and ready to quit, the human next to you will still be fighting, still moving, still thinking. And that makes all the difference. She was not exaggerating. During the endurance drills, I watched Marcus and the other humans keep going long after larger, stronger aliens had given up. Their faces showed pain, exhaustion, suffering, but they did not stop. Could not stop, apparently. It was terrifying and inspiring in equal measure. By week 3, something had changed in our group. We stopped seeing each other as different species competing for dominance. We started seeing each other as a team, a unit. People who could rely on each other when things got bad. Bruthmak actually apologized to Marcus. I was wrong about you, he said gruffly. You are a warrior. Strange, small, but a warrior nonetheless. Marcus shrugged. No hard feelings. You are not the first person to underestimate me. probably will not be the last. Still, Bruthmack insisted, I should not have been so dismissive. You have taught me much about tactics and unconventional thinking. And you have taught me that sometimes the direct approach works best, Marcus replied. Charging through a wall is not always stupid if you are strong enough to survive it. They shook hands. Well, hand to massive rocky appendage. Close enough. I found myself spending more time with the humans, learning about their culture, their history, their way of thinking. They were fascinating, contradictory, capable of incredible kindness and horrifying violence, sometimes within the same hour. Jake Torres told me about human wars. The sheer scale of destruction humans had inflicted on themselves over the centuries. Millions dead, cities destroyed, entire populations wiped out. And somehow humanity kept bouncing back. It kept rebuilding, kept advancing. We are really good at two things, Jake said, destroying stuff and building new stuff from the ruins. Sometimes I think we enjoy the challenge. That is insane, I said. Probably, Jake agreed. But it kept us alive when smarter species would have gone extinct. Week 4 arrived, and Patricia announced the final exercise, full station defense simulation. Attackers are a professional raider group, well-armed, well-trained, motivated by profit. They want to take the station, grab valuable technology, and ransom any survivors. Your job is to stop them. How many attackers? Victoria asked. 50, Patricia said. You have 32 defenders. They have superior firepower and tactical position. They also have surprise on their side. You will not know when or where they attack until it happens. Those are terrible odds, Whisper said quietly. Yes, Patricia agreed. They are. Real combat rarely gives you fair odds. You work with what you have. The simulation ran for 72 hours. We slept in shifts. Ate when we could. Stayed alert for any sign of the attack. It came on the third night. 0300 hours. Klaxons blaring. Raiders hitting 3 different points simultaneously. Cargo Bay. Engineering. Command Center. Our training kicked in immediately. No panic. No confusion. Just smooth, practiced responses. Marcus coordinated from the command center. Team Alpha, Cargo Bay is a feint. They want you to commit resources there. Send minimal force. Team Bravo, hit engineering hard. That is their real target. Team Charlie, guard the evacuation routes. Do not let them take hostages. I led Team Bravo. Stonefist, Glenth, 2 other Tharkons, and 3 humans including Mira. We hit the raiders in engineering like a plasma storm. They expected resistance but not coordination, not tactics. It's not the absolute refusal to give ground. The humans were terrifying in actual combat. They did not posture, did not threaten, just moved with cold efficiency. Mira took down 3 raiders in 15 seconds using nothing but environmental advantages. Drop a cargo container here. Seal a blast door there. He'd used the station itself as a weapon. Glenth, who had mocked Marcus so enthusiastically weeks ago, fought alongside Jake Torres like they had been battle partners their entire lives. The Morphid's ability to change density combined with the human's tactical thinking created a combination the raiders could not counter. In the cargo bay, Victoria Reeves pulled off something I will never forget. She convinced the raiders they were outnumbered by making noise in 6 different locations, throwing her voice, using echoes and acoustics to create phantom defenders. The raiders retreated from a superior position because they thought they were surrounded. We won. Not easily, not without casualties, simulated though they were. But we won. When the simulation ended and the lights came back up, Patricia stood in the middle of the command center with that analytical smile. You performed admirably, she said. Better than I expected, honestly. You worked as a team. You adapted to changing circumstances. You used unconventional tactics effectively. Most importantly, you survived. What now? I asked. Now? Patricia glanced at Admiral Corvin and General Thraxus, who had been observing the entire simulation. Now you become instructors. You teach other trainees what you learned here. Spread the knowledge. Build more teams. And if the station really does get attacked? Marcus asked. Patricia's smile faded. Then you do exactly what you did in the simulation. You fight. You win. You survive. Because that is what warriors do. The program expanded after that. More volunteers. More training. More mixed species teams learning to fight like humans, think like humans, survive like humans. Marcus became something of a celebrity on the station. Not because he won the tournament, though that helped, but because he represented something important. Proof that physical strength was not the only path to victory. Proof that intelligence, creativity, and adaptation could overcome raw power. I learned more from that small, thin, weak-looking human than I had learned from decades of traditional combat training. He taught me that assumptions are dangerous, that underestimating your opponent is the fastest way to lose, that fighting smart beats fighting hard almost every single time. 6 months after the tournament, I was promoted to senior instructor. My first assignment? Teaching a course called Asymmetric Warfare Tactics, based entirely on human combat philosophy. The students hated it initially. Too unconventional, too dishonorable, too human. But they learned, and they got better. And when raiders actually did attack Training Station Theta, 3 sectors away, the defenders there used tactics we had developed. They won with minimal casualties, saved hundreds of lives. The Galactic Council took notice, started implementing human-style tactical training across all military branches, started reconsidering their assumptions about physical superiority and combat effectiveness, started taking humans seriously. As for Marcus Finn, last I heard he was running advanced tactical programs on the flagship of the Galactic Defense Fleet, teaching admirals and generals how to think like humans, how to fight like humans, how to win like humans. I see him occasionally when our paths cross during training rotations. He still looks small, still looks thin, still looks completely unremarkable to anyone who does not know better. But I know better now. We all do. Because we learned the most important lesson anyone can learn about humans. The lesson that might just save the entire galaxy someday. Never, ever, ever judge a human by their appearance. Because the smallest, weakest-looking one in the room might just be the most dangerous person you will ever meet. And they will smile politely, while dismantling everything you thought you knew about combat, warfare, and survival. That is humanity. That is their strength. That is why they terrify me. And why I am grateful beyond measure that they are on our side. Because I have seen what happens when you underestimate them. I have felt it personally. The humiliation, the shock, the grudging respect. Marcus Finn taught me that warriors come in all shapes and sizes. That true strength is not about muscles or claws or natural weapons. It is about the mind, the will, the absolute refusal to quit, even when every logical analysis says you should. So yes, they made fun of his weak body, mocked him, laughed at him, treated him like a joke. Until the sparring match began. Until he proved that humans do not play by anyone's rules except their own. And now we teach those rules to everyone else. Because surviving in this galaxy requires learning from the species that has been doing it wrong, according to everyone else, and somehow winning anyway. Humans, insane, unpredictable, absolutely terrifying when properly motivated, and the best allies you could ever hope to have. I would not want to fight against them again. Once was more than enough. But fighting alongside them? Watching them turn impossible situations into victories through sheer stubbornness and creative thinking? That is something I will cherish for the rest of my life. Thank you, Marcus Finn, for teaching an old Keltharian warrior that there is always more to learn, always room to grow, always another way to approach a problem. And for proving that sometimes the weakest-looking person in the room is actually the strongest. We should all be so lucky to be that wrong about someone.